think importantly, it's hiring people at the right level. So now when we hire, it's about, right, who do we actually need in the team? Where have we got a gap? Who are we missing? Or who are we going to need? More importantly, actually, who are we going to need in 6 months? Because if you need them in 6 months and they're on a 3-month notice period, we better start looking now.
Welcome to the �ហ្𝗵𝗵 podcast. I'm your host, Rayhan Aleem. I'm also the founder of 𝗵𝗵𝗵 Partners, a bookkeeping business based in Dubai, and TaxStar, a tax technology startup automating corporation tax returns. Join me on each episode as we talk to inspiring Dubai-based entrepreneurs who share their stories, challenges, and secrets on building world-class businesses. I'm really excited to have Jeri on the show today. Jeri started Smooth Accounting from her garage in 2016, and since then she's built it into a thriving firm with a full team, a studio, and over 600 clients. In 2022, she expanded to Dubai, where she now helps entrepreneurs set up businesses and handle their accounting. She's also the co-founder of the Digital Accountants Club, helping accountants grow their firm and embrace technology. Jeri, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming down. You have an amazing story. And one of the things that really resonated with me was, you, like me, you're an accountant, you're a chartered accountant, and you transitioned from being an employee to an entrepreneur. But not only that, you had, you're married, you have 2 babies at the time. Mm-hmm. They've grown up to be, wonderful children now. And I know it's not easy for, women to go through that. I mean, I have children myself, but it's, I'm not the one who's looking after my kids.
Yeah.
I try to, obviously. So for the entrepreneurs or for the employees who are out there and they are in a job, they're not happy in their job, but they have an idea to start a business. Mm-hmm. What kind of advice would you give to that person?
I think that when I did it, it was a little bit accidental in some ways. I knew obviously I was leaving my job and I was starting my business, but I don't think I really understood what that meant. I think at the time it was driven by this want to kind of be around the kids when I wanted to be around them. So not even necessarily be around them more, because I knew that it would be hard working for myself. But I think just knowing that if they were sick, I could be with them and, take them to school and not miss anything important that they did. So I did it a little bit accidentally in thinking that I'll set up by myself and I'll just do a few accounts from home and that'll be it. And didn't quite understand that it was going to snowball. I didn't realise it would grow and I'd end up with employees and offices and all this kind of stuff. So I think you have to take a risk if you're going to set up on your own and you're going to leave an employed job. So it's always a risk. It has to be a calculated risk. I knew that my husband would support me. I wasn't going to earn anything to start with. And he was like, it's fine, you can do this. And I always thought, well, I'm a chartered accountant, so worst case, I'll get a job if it doesn't work out. And I think as long as you've got a backup plan and you're happy to take that calculated risk, then go for it, because life is very short. And I think it's important that people believe in themselves. I did believe in myself. I kind of thought, well, this is what I'm going to do now, and I'm just going to give it everything I've got. And yeah, I just went for it. So. And you've, I've followed your journey, and you talk about your journey in your, in online as well, and I have a similar journey where I was an accountant. I wasn't a business owner. I was an accountant. I wasn't in sales. Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand the whole process of bringing in business. And one of the things that not just accountants, but entrepreneurs have to realize is they may be a technical expert in a specific field, whether it's law, accounting, bricklaying or whatever it is. Yeah.
And in your journey, you've learned a tremendous amount that the average accountant or entrepreneur doesn't learn. So you went from being a technical expert to being an entrepreneur who is able to go out there, win business at ease now.
Yeah.
And that's usually one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face when they start their their journey.
Yes.
But you've overcome that. And what kind of if an entrepreneur then decides to, or an employee decides to set up a business, and they don't know where to start, how was your journey from that point of view, from when leaving my job, setting up my business, I want to spend more time with family. I mean, I had the same thing as well, because if I was working, I wouldn't come home, right?
Yeah.
How did you how were you able to teach yourself those skills that make you who you are now?
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this a lot, actually. And for me, it was about marketing. And I think I try and say to people and accountants all the time that, you're not doing enough marketing. Even if you think that you are, you're not, right? I'm not doing enough, and I do it all day, every day. It's the most important thing, in my opinion, because if you've got a steady stream of inquiries coming in and you've got a demand for your service, you can pretty much cope with anything, I think, business-wise, no matter what it throws at you, no matter what problem you have. If you lose clients, if you lose staff, if you can't recruit, if, whatever the issue is, if you know that you have got enough clients coming in and can tick that box, it changes everything. Not having or not knowing where your next new clients are coming from is a level of stress, I think, on entrepreneurs that causes so many issues, because the panic of not knowing, where your next new lead's going to come from, how you're going to afford X, Y, Z, or how you're going to grow. Or if you lose a great paying client, if you've got a steady stream of new inquiries, obviously you don't want to lose clients, but it's not the end of the world, because you will replace them. So for me, when I started on my own, from day one, I was marketing from like the minute I woke up in the morning to the minute I went to bed. And in my head, I kept thinking, well, I know I can do accounts, right? I'm an accountant. I can kind of do that in my sleep. So don't worry about that so much. The problem is, and I can only talk really for accountants, but what I see the problem is that they focus so much on the doing, on the accounts and the kind of software, accounting, they focus a lot of their time. What they need to do is just make a decision on these things, make a quick decision. I'm going to use X software and that's what I'm doing, and just roll with it. Like they get so bogged down in the setup and the kind of operational side, and they completely ignore the marketing. And like for me, I did the opposite. I almost, to the point where I ignored the rest of it, and I was like, it's fine. Like I'll use Excel to start with, till I've got enough clients. I'll make do. I'll get a VA in to help me. I'll muddle through, but I need to focus on marketing and have that steady stream of clients. And I just think that's the most important thing. And still now to this day, like it's not, it's been 9 years and it's still the most important thing to me. I don't think that will ever change.
Yeah, no, that's great insights into what you've done. But I also want to kind of dig into the learning process, because for me, when I was growing my firm, a lot of the things I was doing was testing, trying, learning, speaking to other people, understanding how they do their marketing, their sales. And, I was lucky to get a few mentors along the way. I was lucky that people gave me the time of the day to give me some of their insights.
Yes.
And it's little things like, even there was one of my friends who's into sales. He told me this concept about ABC, always be closing.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Which some people frown upon. Some people say that's bread and butter when it comes to sales. But in terms of your learnings, how did you learn to become probably one of the best, or most successful entrepreneurs in terms of, I don't even class you as an accountant, I class you as an entrepreneur, right? How did you become so successful in learning sales and marketing to then get to a point where it's coming to you consistently?
I think, well, thank you for that. I'm glad that you don't class me as an accountant, because I couldn't do a set of accounts if I tried nowadays. But I think it was a case of doing, like anything in life. If you do it enough, right, you get good at it. And I look back now and I think, gosh, I've never had any marketing training. Like I've never had any sales training. I've just done what I thought was right, and I've been consistent. And I was the same. I've had a mentor, kind of again accidentally, but from day one, back in like when I started in my garage, I ended up meeting another accountant, and he owns a firm, much, much bigger firm than mine, and kind of just become good friends. But I always really, really respected him, looked up to him, learnt so much from him. And although he has a totally different kind of model to what I have in terms of what he does, he's so super successful. And I just love surrounding myself with really successful people, because in my mind, I'm like, I want to know what they're doing. Like all the people that are doing it really well, if I was starting out on my own, I'd be like, I need to surround myself with people that are doing really, really well in whatever capacity that might be. So whether it's just following them on LinkedIn or watching their YouTube, or, you know, kind of absorbing information on people that are doing it well, because there's a reason they're doing well, right? So it's kind of, I think consistency, the more you do something, the more you learn it. I don't think I knew I was learning it. I just thought at the time, I just need to keep doing this. I need to get my name out there. Like everyone needs to know who I am. And I was so tunnel vision with it and not distracted by anything else. Like, this is what I'm doing now, you know. And I actually kind of wrote a ebook, like 100 ways to market your accounting firm, that I gave away online. This was like maybe a couple of years ago, just gave it away for free, because I get asked all the time, like, how do I get leads and how do I get customers? And I'm like, if you do these 100 things, right, every single one of them for the next 12 months, come back to me in 12 months, because you will not be able to cope for new clients. The problem is that a lot of accountants, and I mean this with love, kind of will be wondering why they're not getting clients, or where am I going to get clients, or not really doing anything. You know, I always say, like, what are you doing to get new clients? You know, if you're not getting them, what are you actually doing? Like, because I could tell you 10 things today that I've done already, right? And it's like 10 that I've done today to market my business, right? Because that's how serious I take it. It's like an extension of my being. You know, I never take it for granted that even though Smooth Accounting has a good name and, you know, I have a strong personal brand, it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop. I'm still consistent to this day, and I will be consistent as long as I need to be, you know, to keep my business growing. So I think consistency is so super important with marketing and with trying to get leads and sales and people through the door. So people want an overnight fix sometimes, and it's just not, that's just not the way it is.
Yeah, no, fully agree with that. So you've started your business as an entrepreneur, not as an accountant. You started as a solo founder, and then you built your team. And that takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of learnings as well. Not only that, you're also juggling your family, you're doing the 100 things you do in terms of marketing. How was your mindset in terms of, how do I hire the right people? How can I make sure they're doing the right kind of job for my clients? How can I make sure that I'm optimizing my marketing? That part of the business is probably the most toughest, once you go from yourself to building a team to, you know, scaling your business. What kind of things were going through, you know, through your head? How were you able to cope in that challenging time?
In the early days, I hired from like a panic position. I simply cannot cope. I've too much work, and this is not why I set my business up. And I'm so stressed. So I'm just hiring people left, right and centre, like, can you help? Can you help? And not really thinking it through. And that just didn't work out eventually. You know, it's not a long-term strategy at all. I learned over the years that you need to strategically hire. You need to hire the right people at the right level. But it definitely came from making mistakes with hiring. And hiring from a position of panic, which is never a good place to be. So once I kind of realised, hang on, this is not right. I think the light bulb moment was when I hired my first kind of qualified, experienced person. And that was a real gamble for me, because I remember thinking, I can't afford them. Like, I'm looking at my figures and I'm like, but I can't cope with the amount of work I've got. So, I'm in that chicken and egg situation. What do you do? And I just, again, had to take a bit of a risk, and it is a risk. But I was like, I'm going to do it. So I took on actually a part-time lady. She came on 3 days a week, and it was amazing. She came in and just took stuff off me, and like, it's never happened before. And I was maybe like 3 years in to my business at this point, and I should have done it earlier. And my advice would be hire technical skilled people as soon as you can, you know, because the difference it makes, that change when they come in to everything, to how you feel, you know, that peace of mind that, hang on a second, she doesn't need me to help her. She's just answering client queries, just taking all the stuff off of me, and actually better than me doing the accounts and stuff. And it went from there, actually. And now my team over the years has been built up of excellent technical skilled people. And over the years, I've stepped more and more and more away from being the accountant. And, you know, I don't do any of that work. I haven't done for years now. And I have a wonderful team that do it. But I think it's hiring people at the right level. So now when we hire, it's about, right, who do we actually need in the team? Where have we got a gap? Who are we missing? Or who are we going to need? More importantly, actually, who are we going to need in 6 months? Because if you need them in 6 months and they're on a 3-month notice period, we better start looking now. You know, we've just hired 2 people that are both on 3-month notice periods. And obviously the wait is a long time when you're really, really super busy. So, you know, having people that can take the work off of you is a game changer. But what a lot of business and new business owners do, and what I did, is you think you can't afford it. So you hire cheaper, less skilled people because you think, well, it's fine, I can show them what to do. You don't have enough time to run your business, right? You already don't have enough time. So why are you hiring a junior? It's going to literally push you over the edge, because they're going to need your support. I think take on the juniors, but take them on once you've got a person that can teach them, right? So I always think you hire the qualified experienced person, or not necessarily qualified, but the experienced person that can do the work for you. They then teach the juniors. And that's kind of how you grow and expand your team. That would be my advice.
Yeah, no, I think you've touched upon 2 very good points. The first thing is, a lot of entrepreneurs, when they set up their business, I'm sure you've seen this, the first hire is usually a junior hire.
Yeah.
The second thing is, you mentioned something about your first hire was doing things independently, and they probably knew the technical side better than you, for example.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for an entrepreneur to hire someone who's probably more technically skilled than them, because they get uncomfortable. But it's important that you hire the best people around you, because the insecurities isn't the fact that they're going to take your job. You know, it's your business at the end of the day. If anything, they will increase your revenues and give you better capacity as a company as well. And I think that's really good insights for someone who wants to set up. Yes, it's difficult to make that decision to hire someone good in the very early days. I mean, when I set up my business, the first thing I wanted to do is hire people, because I realized, as you've rightly mentioned, that there's just so much we need to do as an entrepreneur. And we need that support from day one to kind of take certain things away from you. And I won a big contract with implementing Xero, for example. And literally the first thing I did with that money is I hired people, because I knew that if I'm going to continue to grow, I need the capacity to ensure that I can fulfill more demand. So I think that's excellent advice that you've given. In terms of when you're managing the team, and when you're managing the clients, and when you're managing the business, a lot of accountants that I know, a lot of entrepreneurs I know, they kind of get really stressed out, and they find it very difficult to juggle. Sometimes employees go into entrepreneurship and then they just go back again. Or they go into it, or they sell their business. But you know, you've sustained your business for the last 8 or 9 years, and you've grown it, which takes a lot of guts and resilience. So how have you made sure that mentally you're always ready for that, to be the best self in your business every day?
I think the main thing really is delegating. I think that it is hard as business owners. We are naturally, and accountants, we are control freaks. You know, it's our business, it's our name above the door. The thought that you have to let go of that control and give stuff to other people and just hope and pray that they do things how you do them or better, is really worrying, and it does go wrong sometimes. And, I quite often got asked, how I handed all the clients across. Because years ago, I took on a client manager and just went, here's all the clients. But how did you do that? Because my clients will only deal with me. I get these accountants that own their own businesses and they're like, I simply couldn't, these are legacy clients. I've had them for years. Like I couldn't pass them on to someone else. And I'm like, well, you absolutely can, and I did. And I gave away all of my clients. One of our clients was paying us like 80 grand a year in fees, which is huge to us, right? And I still gave them away. I gave all my clients away to someone else because it was a choice. You have to make a choice. What do you want? Do you want to be tied to the business and not able to be that strategic person making those important decisions and literally in the nitty-gritty all day, every day and juggling a million things? Or do you want to have the time and the freedom and the space to step back and run the business properly and grow it properly? You have to make a decision. What is more important? Because if it's more important to you that you don't upset any clients, you don't lose any clients, then you're going to be stuck on that hamster wheel. You're not coming off of it. For me, I accepted that some clients weren't going to like it. Actually, it's a lot less than you think because people want a good service and they want to be dealt with quickly and they want to be dealt with by someone who knows what they're doing, right? So if you can tick those boxes, they're not actually that bothered that it's you. I think as entrepreneurs, we kind of like to think, it's a little bit arrogant really, that people desperately want us. And that's not actually normally the case. So you kind of need to knock yourself down like a peg or two and be like, actually, you think they want you. They're not that bothered. Some of them might, and some of them might get a little bit upset, but it's going to be a lot less than you think. So I just ripped the plaster off. This is who's looking after you now. I simply can't do it anymore. I'm running the business. This is who's looking after you now. You'll be looked after really, really well. Make sure you manage that transition really well. The communication is key. And keep the clients happy. And 99% of them are going to be fine. I think you have, or entrepreneurs tend to have this opinion about it, that it's going to be horrendous. It's like when you put your prices up, it's going to be horrendous and everyone's going to go mad and like maybe 2 people even reply. Do you know what I mean? Like that's literally what happens. It's always so much better than you think it's going to be. So yeah, I've gone off on a tangent a little bit there, but I think you have to delegate. And for me, it was like, look after the clients. That was step 1, delegate that, somebody else. And now we're many, many years on, I still delegate the life out of everything, absolutely everything. I don't want to do stuff. Some entrepreneurs and accountants, they want to be really heavily involved in every little thing.
Yeah, I used to be like that.
Yeah. And I used to be like that. I've done a complete 180. I used to be like that. And like, I know best, right? But over time, I was like, no, I don't think I really want to be involved. Actually, I want to have free time, and I did a complete 180. I got to the point where I was not needed at all. Like, obviously I'm still the only director and I'm the strategic decision maker and it's my business. So I will always be the person that makes the important decisions. But actually I got the business years ago to a point where I don't do anything on a day-to-day basis, So if I go on holiday for a month and shut my phone off and nothing will change. I'll come home back in a month and the business will have grown still and will be running fine. And that's how I got it to. So it's all about making a choice. But for me, delegate, get good people and get them to do it.
And in terms of your mother, your wife, you're running a business, you've got lots of customers coming in. How do you stay on top of peak performance? So for example, I try to, go gym. I have my routines. I try to spend time with my family. But what kind of things do you do to kind of keep you at peak performance? So, the employee who's a mother of 1 or 2 gotten a brilliant idea, but they just can't make that jump. What kind of advice would you give them from that point of view that keeps you at your best?
I think surrounding yourself with good people is really important because lots of people are going through the same things you are. Lots of people have the same worries, and just sharing like that you're stressed or this is the worst day ever and you want to give up and those kind of things, and having someone else going, I understand, I've been through it. There's so many groups out there that you can join. There's so many support groups, membership groups, mentors, all these things. Just surround yourself with good people. Prioritize your time over anything. It's hard to do it in the early days, so it's easy for me to sit here now that I'm much further along and say it. I didn't do that in the very early days, but I did do it as soon as I realised that I was on this hamster wheel and I couldn't get off. I literally was ruthless. I went, right, I'm getting in people to do this stuff. I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I just made the decision. It was, I remember it happening, and I changed everything, and I was very conscious about it. The problem is that a lot of entrepreneurs, they say that they're too busy, they can't cope, but they don't do anything different. They just, they'll say everything's too stressful and I'm trying to juggle all these clients and I've got a family and I don't know what to do. And it's like, your people will give you advice and say, well, you're not charging enough, because if you're charging more, you'd have enough money to hire someone to help you so you could have more time with your family. Like, you have to be open to what other people have done, how they've done it better, and make changes, and protect your time. My time is more precious than anything to me, and it even down to like a 5-minute email. I won't send a 5-minute email if it doesn't need to be me. Even though I could literally just reply, yeah, that's fine. I don't. I'll think, why are you sending it to me? And I'll just find out why they've contacted me about it and be like, can you not, this is who you need to contact. So it's not about that 5-minute email now. It's about, I don't ever want to receive that again. It's not me that needs to answer that, So I'm so precious about my time. And I think have that as a goal, that you want to get to that point and make important conscious decisions that are going to get you there, rather than moaning about how hard it is and just staying on the hamster wheel and changing absolutely nothing, right? It's not gonna help.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I also want to touch upon, obviously, women as well, right? Yeah. So I think 90% of my workforce is female.
I love that.
I would say 60% of my clients, maybe 70% are female as well. Yeah. There's a lot of female entrepreneurs in the region.
Yes.
And there's a lot of really good, talented females who want to become entrepreneurs, but they get held back. I know that there's stigmas, and I know that there's, I've heard horror stories where some of my clients who are female, they want to start a business, but then someone comes in and says, why would you do that? Right. And, stay at home, or they would say things like, you're female, you can't do this.
Yeah.
So I want to hear that kind of perspective from how you've, what kind of encouragement could you give the female budding entrepreneur, and what kind of, did you find that there were instances where customers, clients, partners, they tried to hold you back, but you just broke through that doubt?
Yeah, I definitely think in the early days, I remember once I'd qualified as an accountant, I'd start trying to build a client base. So this is when I was still employed. It was like the next step. Now I'm qualified, right, go out and win business. So I'd start networking. And I definitely had a lot of misogyny then. And I would meet a lot of men, a lot of men in suits at events that kind of were confused by what I was doing. Like, oh, so you're a bookkeeper? And I was like, oh no, I'm a chartered accountant. I've got, not that there's anything wrong with being a bookkeeper, there isn't, they're amazing, but they couldn't get their head around that I was actually kind of in charge of my clients and that I'd be the person that they would deal with. And there was many conversations like that. And I think in the UK, especially, the accountancy world is very male dominated, certainly at partner level. There's very, very few women compared to men, that the proportions in CEO positions that have started their own accounting firms, that have grown accounting firms to, quite a big size on their own. There's very, very few. And it's a real shame. And I do think it's because, it's just not set up really for women who, potentially might be mothers as well. But I would say that for any women listening or watching, we're very capable, and this is not a negative thing about men, because I don't know what it's like to be a man. I can only talk from my experience, but when I look back to the kids being babies, starting the business, my husband was working all the hours under the sun, just trying to keep our heads above the water, just trying to pay our bills. It was absolute chaos, but we did it. And I think women are so very capable. We have children, we work, we quite often look after the house as well and do these things, and we juggle a million things in life. So if you are thinking of starting a business or have started a business, you will be able to do it, and it will be hard, but we're just so capable at juggling.
Yep.
That ability to be like, mum, 1 second, business owner, I'm kind of on the phone like this and I'm changing a nappy, but I'm talking to a potential new client. Like, without the business, you're doing those things anyway. You know, like quite often, and again, I'm not saying always, but quite often women are juggling a lot of things, looking after the house and, you know, as much as I think it should be more 50-50 with everything, I think naturally women do juggle a lot and we're very good at that. So actually believe in yourself. You're so very capable of being a mum if you are, and having a business as well. You can do both, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. And by starting a business as well, you're creating a life for your family. You know, and I'm speaking from personal experience. I've created a life that I could never have ever imagined I would have, ever. You know, it was what other people did.
Yeah.
And now I've created that. So if I can do it from, you know, a £100 secondhand laptop and a dining room table, like, and 2 little babies at home, you know, anyone can do it, any women can do it. So I think you're really, really capable and good at juggling things. So just go for it.
You're one of the entrepreneurs who, you know, you set up your business in the UK. And then you made that jump from the UK to the UAE to set up your accounting firm. And you did it at the right time. One of the things that I'm noticing in this market in Dubai is there's a lot of entrepreneurs from the UK who are coming into the UAE to set up. In certain situations, what they're doing is, you know, in the UK, cost of living is high, taxation is going up, the economy isn't doing so well, so many small businesses are not doing as well as they would like. Some cases they're coming here, they're setting up, and they're just setting up here because they want to live here. They're managing their business in the UK from here, and they're saving money on tax, for example. But there's also the opportunity of, you know, the UAE is a booming economy. Everyone's coming here. You know, population has grown from 2.5 million to 4 million. You've got lots of big companies coming here. You've got a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the UAE. Millionaires are coming here as well. And then next door, you have Saudi Arabia, which is probably the government spending billions and billions on these giga projects where there are plenty of UK companies where they would sell doorknobs or they'll sell, you know, concrete, and they can come in here and then also win some of these projects in Saudi.
Yes.
So not only is it an opportunity to save money on tax, but it's actually an opportunity to expand your business as well. I know you're an expert in helping entrepreneurs moving from the UK here because you know more about UK tax than I do, right? And you're now an expert in corporation tax here as well. So what kind of advice would you give that entrepreneur in terms of, okay, I'm in the UK, I'm sitting on the fence, I want to set up in the UAE, but I just need that little bit of a push. What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And like you say, so many people doing it at the moment. Initially, generally, what we tend to find is that people need advice around the tax first. So that's always a question that UK entrepreneurs have naturally because we're paying such a huge amount of tax in the UK and it's getting worse. So usually we have conversations around that because what happens is entrepreneurs will start looking online. How do I save tax? Like if I move to Dubai, can I just set up in Dubai and stay in the UK? No, right? No, you can't. Let's just get that out there. Just like easy, let me just tell you, no, you can't. And they try to find out about the tax situation and they realize that it's so complex that they can't get a concrete answer. They can get loads of different people going, I'll do this, do that. And it's, you know, it's when I see it, some of the things I see online of people trying to help, it's like, oh no, that's not right. And so we tend to help with the tax piece first. So we do like a tax consultancy piece first. And I think that's really important. Whoever you get it from, whichever tax expert you speak to, you understand that first, how to become non-resident for tax in the UK if you are leaving. Because if you leave and move to Dubai, but you get it wrong by one day or one piece of the statutory residency test you get wrong, you know, you're going to be taxed on your worldwide income in the UK and you've moved to another country. You know, that is the extent of how wrong you can get it. And to me, this personal tax savings are the most important when you're leaving the UK. So many people focus on corporate tax. I'm like, I know it's up to 25% in the UK and it's only 9% here. There is obviously quite a big saving there, but the personal tax savings are huge, right? People are restricted on what they can take out of their UK business because of how high personal tax is. And you've got none in Dubai. Like, that's the differential. It's such a massive thing. So get the tax piece right, whoever you speak to. Once you've done that and you understand how you can become non-resident for tax, then you start looking into setting up a business, which is very easy here. You can set up a free zone business, mainland business, and then get your visa. And then you can basically move here and live here. But I think understanding the tax side, sometimes people do that too late. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to move to Dubai, understand the personal tax and the corporate tax side of things and how it's going to impact you specifically, how much you're looking to save and what impact that could have on you and your life, and then follow through with the business setup and everything else afterwards.
And in terms of personal income tax, obviously for the Dubai resident or for the budding UK entrepreneur coming in, that includes obviously your income tax, your national insurance, tax on dividends as well, right? And that ends up being quite a lot.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, there are some rules around it. You know, if you're temporary non-resident, like if you come here to Dubai for less than 5 years, or leave the UK, I should say, for less than 5 years, there can be some restrictions around dividends. But generally, you know, yes, you know, you're talking about wiping out potentially your whole income tax and national insurance bill. Generally, UK residents will pay 52 weeks of national insurance. If they're on a salary, they'll pay that for 52 weeks after they leave. But then they would stop. And to some entrepreneurs, like, that is such a huge amount of money. You know, you're talking tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds. You know, and then also capital gains tax. You know, if you're looking to sell a business, maybe the next few years, as long as you come here for 5 years, you're not going to pay any capital gains tax, you know, and that's worth millions to some UK entrepreneurs and actually some that we've helped. We've actually relocated some UK business owners because of that exact reason. You know, they're like, I either pay millions in capital gains tax or I move to Dubai, right? So it's a no-brainer. So yeah, I think the tax impact is huge.
And you've obviously helped a lot of entrepreneurs move from the UK to the UAE. Can you give us some examples of some of the success stories that you've had as well? Just to kind of give these the entrepreneurs a bit more encouragement into coming here.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I could talk about my own one for starters before I even talk about any clients. But, you know, I moved here with the view of just living here, just having an adventure with my husband and the kids and having a great time. And I've got a UK business that's doing well. Why not? Don't need to be in the UK. And because of how Dubai is and how it's a lot of expats, you know, majority expats in the community, everyone's in the same boat, everyone's so supportive. I ended up with a business now in the UAE that I never really intended to start. So that's what I find happens. I feel like there's so much opportunity here and everyone's willing to help everyone. And sadly, I don't really feel like it's massively like that in the UK. I haven't experienced that. I've experienced a lot of jealousy and a lot of, you know, people don't really like to see business owners doing well in the UK, sadly. That's been my experience. Whereas here, that's just not the case for me. So I ended up coming here, just randomly chatting to people, you know what it's like, you know, kind of chatting to parents at school and, you know, people are, can you do my accounts? So I've got a UAE business, can you do my accounts? And I'm like, sure. Like, you know, and then I just ended up with clients that I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing this now then. And can you set my business up? You know, you set yours up. Can you do mine? Sure. And now it's just snowballed and it's growing quicker than the UK business. You know, it's only been not even 3 years, almost 3 years I've had the UAE business and its growth has been ridiculous. Because that is what it's like here. So in terms of examples, you know, that's me as an example. But again, other clients, I've had numerous clients that have really successful UK businesses that have no intention of trading out here, but they just want to move here for tax reasons and a better quality of life. But then they're phoning me up a few months after they've moved and they're like, I've just won a contract in the UAE. Like, forget what I said. I wasn't going to trade my UAE company. I've just won a contract. And that just happens all the time. I mean, you and I were chatting before we sort of started this podcast about, you know, who you know out here and building those relationships. And I definitely have those really strong, solid relationships in the UK where we get referrals and people, you know, I've grown my business because people have recommended me. But I feel like here there's just a vibe about helping and this growth mindset.
Yeah.
There was a growth mindset in Dubai that you come here and you do well and you want to do well, and everybody's just buzzing and everyone's like helping this person, that person, and you know, it just has a different feeling. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, so not only do you come here and set up a business, the support network is there.
It's massive.
And, you know, whether you know it or not, something will fall on your lap.
Yep.
And you can grow your business a lot faster than maybe, say, a UK business,
Yes.
for example. So you know, great insights. And from my point of view, you know, I've seen many entrepreneurs not only bring their business here, but also win contracts in Saudi as well.
Yes. Saudi's doing great.
Although there are ups and downs with doing business in Saudi, the opportunity is the big contracts, right? So here you can win small contracts, big contracts, and it's you know, you can run a profitable business.
Yes.
Out there, the setup costs are a little bit higher.
Yes.
But if you win one of the big contracts, it could be a game changer.
Yes.
And coming here and learning the region is something that will help you get there.
Yes.
So thanks for sharing that. I think we'll wrap up now.
Yeah.
So you've been an amazing guest. Thank
you
for your insights. Is there anything that you would want to, any final thoughts in terms of, you know, how can the audience find you? What kind of things are you working on right now? I know you mentioned the Digital Accountants Club.
Yes. So for Smooth, my accounting business, and Smooth Dubai, our websites, I'm on LinkedIn, Jeri Williams. I've written a book, Moving to Dubai,
Nice.
for UK business owners. I have the draft. I just need to tweak it. You can join the waitlist for my book on my LinkedIn and any of my social media pages. There's a link to join the waitlist, but that should be out in the next couple of weeks. And that is every single thing I know about moving as a business owner from the UK to the UAE. So I'm really, really excited about that. And yeah, for any accountants watching, I co-founded the Digital Accountants Club with my colleague Sam. And we basically are teaching accountants, accountancy practice owners, how to use AI and software and tech to grow their businesses.
Nice.
It's a membership group. It's digitalaccountantsclub.com. You can join us. We're a really big community of accountants and everyone helping each other, and loads of resource and knowledge sharing, webinars, discounts, CPD, all of that stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in kind of learning more of the tech side and the AI and how to save time and money in your firm, then come and check us out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the 𝗷 podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating and a review. Your feedback is appreciated. For show notes and more, check out the link in the description and connect to me directly on LinkedIn and search for Rayhan Aleem. See you in the next episode.